Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be bringing you my April TBR, so my April to be read. These are the books that I would like to prioritise reading in April. It's by no means all of the books that I'm going to read in April. There will definitely be some mood reading in the mix there as well, but these are the ones that I'm going to prioritise and the ones that are going to fit with certain reading goals that I have throughout the entire year. I know it's such a cliche thing to say at the start of a TBR video, but how the hell are we already in April? That is insane to me. But anyways, let's just get into the books. Every month I like to read at least one non-fiction book, and the non-fiction book that I'm going to prioritise in April is Educated by Tara Westover. Now I'd imagine you guys have probably heard a little bit about this one already. I feel like I'm one of the last people to have read this book, but this is a memoir about Tara Westover, who was raised in like a cult that believed that the world was coming to an end. In her upbringing, she never had a birth certificate, she never received any kind of formal education, and as she gets older, her father becomes more and more radical in his beliefs and his abusive behaviour. And Tara made a decision that she wanted to move away from that life, she wanted to get educated, and it follows her journey from that kind of upbringing and her childhood through her experiences of being educated and eventually going to study at Harvard and Cambridge. I've heard this is a really emotional one, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what I make of it. Every month I also like to pick a poetry collection to prioritise, and the one I've picked for April is Black and White Dream by Nisha Baku. I read her previous collection, You Found a Beating Heart, and I found it very, very strange, but very enjoyable. This is also published by Broken Sleep Books, who are poetry publishers who have been on my radar for quite a long time now, and I'm really impressed and intrigued by what they do. Every month I also like to pick up a classic, and in April I'm going to be reading Hard Times by Charles Dickens. I have read some of Charles Dickens' short fiction before, and I've read A Christmas Carol a couple of times, but I've never picked up one of his longer works. For some reason I have that very misguided reluctance and intimidation when it comes to picking up one of his books, which I know, as I said, is so misguided and it's so foolish. But this month I am definitely going to read Hard Times because I've put it off for far too long. If you've been around this channel a while, you will know I collect these Penguin English Library editions of books, and I need to get better at reading them, not just purchasing them. And I'm really intrigued to find out what I think about Charles Dickens' longer writing. The short story collection that I would like to pick up in April is The Mark on the Wall and Other Short Fiction by Virginia Woolf. Again, I have read a little bit of Virginia Woolf before. I've read A Room of One's Own, and I read Mrs. Dalloway. I'm really intrigued by picking up some of her shorter fictions. Some of these are literally only a couple of pages long, and I'm really hoping they motivate me to pick up some of her other novels as well. One of my reading goals for 2019 was to every month do something that I call tops and bottoms. And what this is that every month I would like to read one of the 12 books that has been on my TBR for the longest time. So they are on the bottom of my TBR. I've done a whole video where I speak about the 12 books on that list, and the one that I'm going to pick up this month is Moth Smoke by Mohsin Hamid. I have read two of his other books. I have read The Reluctant Fundamentalist, which is a book that I absolutely love. I studied at a university, and I also read Exit West, which I enjoyed less, but I thought was also very good. This book is set in 1998 in Lahore and in Pakistan, and it follows our protagonist as he loses his job and how things proceed from that point on. It looks at the economic crash, and it looks at him developing feelings for his best friend's wife. I think it's really interesting when you start to build up a relationship and an understanding of an author's work. So I'm really intrigued to see where I feel like this fits in with his other books, whether there are themes and styles that really fit in with what I know from his writing previously. And the tops part of the tops and bottoms goal is to read a book from the top of my TBR, so a book that was featured in my most recent book haul. And if you want to see that video, if you missed it, I will leave it linked down below in the description. But the book I have picked from that list is Trying by Emily Phillips. I adore this cover just so much. Like, this is a cover that I feel like was just made for me. This is about a woman named Olivia who is really satisfied in so many areas of her life. She has a decent job on paper, she has a husband that she really likes, she's got a wonderful sex life, she can just about afford the nice house that she lives in, but the one thing she doesn't have is a baby, and this book is all about her trying for that. And I love books about women in that sort of stage of their life. I think they're really important and enjoyable reads for me, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I think it's why it's why I picked this one. I couldn't resist it any longer. And finally, every month I like to use a random number generator to select a book for me from my TBR, and the one that came up this month was The Jungle by Pooja Puri. This is a book about two characters. We have Layla and Miko, and they meet at a Calais refugee camp, and it is all about their experiences there and the friendship that they develop. This isn't an experience that I have read about before in fiction, so I really think that is going to be a really valuable read. So this is it. This is my TBR for April. These are the books that I'm going to be prioritizing reading, but obviously I will probably read a couple more in the mix as well. Do leave a comment down below if you've read any of these and what you've thought of them. Let me know what you're reading at the moment. I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you in my next video.